Guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be talking about some new releases coming out in the first quarter of 2025. This is going to be everything I've compiled that I have found interesting for the first 3 months of 2025, so January through March. You guys, 2025 is looking incredible with new releases. They just look and sound so good. I'm even more excited about them this year because I loved so many 2024 releases. I almost made a separate video on this and I might try to do that for this year, but this is all of the new releases that I read for 2024 and I enjoyed so many of them and so many made my favorites list. It wasn't just stuff that I had read from authors that I love and trust and know that I'm going to enjoy. It was a lot of debut authors, a lot of new ones I've never tried before. I'm feeling like we're in this really awesome new release era. I'm really excited to talk to you guys all about these books. I'm not going to go over the synopsis for these as thoroughly as I normally would because there's just so many to get through. So I'm just going to give you like a brief description or why it caught my eye, and then you guys can go and kind of check it out. So this might be a little bit of a longer video, so pull up your laptop or your phone. That way you can add these to your Goodreads if they sound cool to you. And we're going to get started with January. We're going to start off with all the books coming out on January 7th. So first up is Mystery Royale by Caitlin Cavalencia. This is a young adult mystery novel that sounds really fun. The only thing that Mallory has left from her mom is a warning to avoid all things strange. She kind of puts this in the back of her mind, but her life is really difficult and she's been taking care of her grandmother. And then these unexpected letters start showing up all throughout her life, like in already sealed dog food bags, in the refrigerator, and she knows that she should be avoiding them. But her curiosity takes over when she decides to open one, and it's an invitation to Stoutmire Estate to compete in the game of the Mystery Royale. I love things with a game element, so this sounds like something that I would really enjoy. Then we have The Last Bookstore on Earth by Lily Braun Arnold. This, of course, I had on here because it works really good for Randomathon. I will link the announcement video for Randomathon, which is my first readathon of the year. This year our theme is all around like books and libraries and bookstores, and so I felt like this would be a really good one. I'm going to try to get to it for the readathon. Again, another young adult novel. So this is a survival novel set around two teen girls that are falling in love and trying to survive in an abandoned bookstore. It's 2 weeks before another cataclysmic storm brings about the end of the world. So sounds right up my alley. This would also be good for Hikeathon, so keep it on your radar. Next, we have A Traitorous Heart by Erin Cotter, another young adult novel. A noble woman in the scandalous French court finds herself under the dangerous and watchful eye of Parisian royalty when she falls in love with the handsome king who is betrothed to her former lover. This is a retelling of Three Musketeers. It's supposed to have like hints of F.T. Lukens and Bridgerton. It sounds like it might be a little bit spicy for a young adult novel, so we'll just have to see how it goes. Next, we have The Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. This is an adult mystery. We're following a woman whose twin brother that she has a deep connection with has passed away. She can tell as soon as he's passed that he is gone. She travels back to her hometown to settle his affairs. She's confronted also with a man from her past who's the only man that she's ever loved. But the more she starts to like settle things, the more she uncovers mysteries around her brother's death. So I feel like there's a little romance in here, a little mystery, a little bit of emotional topics, and I really love Adrienne Young's writing, so I'm excited to check this out. We have a new adult fantasy series from Kristen Cass, who I have mixed feelings with. This one looks really cool, so I want to check it out, and that is The Empress. Cover is like very unique and different. In this one, we have kind of a falling into fantasy situation. So our main character finds like a tarot card in the snow, and when she picks it up, she gets thrust into this fantasy world. So we've got this romance that's going to form, and she winds up having to save this fantasy kingdom that she falls into and marry the king of this world. So possibly a steamy one, I'm not sure, but it sounds very fun. Next, we have The Lodge by Kayla Olson. This is an adult romance. I am not sure whether it's going to be like steamy or cozy, so just keep that in mind. I love anything to do with ski lodges. We're following Alex, and she is the ghostwriter for Sebastian Green, who was once part of like an infamous boy band, and then he invites her to come stay in this luxurious resort in Vermont, and she jumps at the chance. I know it's got like ski lodge Lodge snowy winter vibes. This one sounds like it would also be good for Randomathon because she's a ghostwriter. Not sure how much it will have to do with the writing or not. It sounds super fun. Next, we have The Assassin's Guide to Babysitting by Natalie C. Parker. So basically we have this superhero teen who has been hiding her powers all of her life. She basically has an indestructible body, but these powers did not help keep her parents alive. And I think she's gonna have to use them while she is babysitting to protect the kids that she's babysitting. So sounds super cute. Next, we have Of Mountains and Sea by Emily Rank Hawthorne. I think this one is adult, but I'm not sure. In this world, the only way to get magic is to steal it from others, and our main character is born without magic. So Davis is born without magic, and he's a bit of an outcast in his shapeshifter family. He has a path that intertwines with a mysterious girl named Iris, whose ambitions are hindered by a mysterious illness. They wind up going to this town in California and find magic transferring stones, and they're trying to change their fates. Sounds like we have a little bit of a treasure hunt in here, a little bit of ocean element vibes, so you know this one definitely goes on my list. Next set comes out on January 14th. We have The Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I have an extreme love-hate with Alice Feeney because Rock, Paper, Scissors and Daisy Darker are two of my all-time like favorite thriller mysteries, especially Rock, Paper, Scissors. Her writing is so freaking incredible. I really did not like 3 of her other books. There were elements in all of them that I really did not like. Sometimes her books get overly disturbing. Her writing is always good. I listen to them on audio, and her narrator that she uses, the main narrator, is Stephanie Racine, and she is incredible. Always captivated and never feel like DNFing, even though they get kind of like messed up. But I didn't really like 3 of the books, so I'm always a little nervous going in, but I want to try them because they just suck you in. So this is her new one, Beautiful Ugly. We're following author Grady Green, and he is having the worst best day of his life. He calls his wife to share some very exciting news as she is driving home. Abby slam on the brakes, get out of the car, and then nothing. Eventually he finds her car by the edge of the cliff with the headlights on and the door open. Her phone is still there, but his wife has disappeared. This is like a fun mystery that he has to solve. It sounds like something I would really enjoy. This book will work for Randomathon since it's about an author as well. I'm sure he'll talk about his writing and stuff at some point, so I definitely want to check this one out. Next up, we have the start of a paranormal adult series. So this is Lightfall by Ed Crocker, an epic fantasy of vampires, werewolves, and sorcerers. This is a debut novel. No humans here, just immortals, their politics, their feuds, and their long buried secrets. You know I love almost anything with vampires or werewolves, so checking this one out. Next, we have a young adult historical thriller. That is The Queen's Spade by Sarah Rowley. It's the Count of Monte Cristo meets Bridgerton. Seems to be a popular theme right now. As revenge, romance, and twisted secrets take center stage in Victorian England's royal court. Sounds very cool, and I really liked the cover. Next, we have Brood with Love by Shelley Page. This is a young adult romantasy. It's a cozy contemporary romantasy about a teen witch who wants to keep her family's apothecary from falling to the competition, but can only do so with assistance from her first crush. I believe there's a female-female romance in here. I love the cover. It looks so cute. Next, we have Liar's Kingdom by Christine Calella. Hopefully you pronounced that right. I believe this is a Cinderella retelling. That's pretty much why I put it on here. Next, we have Honeysuckle and Bone by Trisha Tobias. This is a YA mystery. On the run from her own dark secrets, a teen girl becomes the nanny for a prestigious family in an extravagant Jamaican estate. Things aren't as they seem, and she quickly discovers even paradise might be haunted. This one is going to actually work well for my second round of Randomathon, which is going to happen in April. The announcement will come like a month before, so this is your first little clue for the theme for that one. Keep this one in mind. Next up, we have Water Moon, and this is supposed to be a surrealism adult fantasy. It sounds like something that could be a favorite for me. So a woman inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets and then embarks on a magical journey when a charming young physicist wanders into her shop. This is supposed to be dreamlike and enchanting fantasy novel. Just sounds super cute, and it's set in Tokyo. All right, these are coming out on January 16th. We have an adult sci-fi fantasy, The House of Frost and Feathers by Lauren Wiesbron. It says Spinning Silver meets Howl's Moving Castle in this Slavic folklore fantasy, and this is a debut. So Marisha's life is not going as expected. With the sleeping plague only a few months away, she's as desperate for money as she is to escape her aunt's torturous marriage prospect, leaving all that she knows behind. Marisha accepts a job working with the notorious Kuldunya Baba in her house that glides on chicken feet through the snow. So it sounds like it is a retelling of like Baba Yaga, House with the Chicken Feet, and it's set in the winter time, so I'm hoping to get to this one sometime this winter. because it sounds so magical and wonderful. Next, the start of a new cozy fantasy. So this is the Baby Dragon Cafe. Like, how adorable is the cover and the name, by Aman Qureshi. No promises on pronouncing these names. Says it's a cozy romance, and when Saphira opens her cafe for baby dragons and their humans, she isn't expecting it to be so difficult to keep the fires burning. It turns out young dragons are not the best magical animals to keep a cafe. Replacing all the burnt furniture is costing her more than she can afford from selling dragon roasted coffee. I mean, adorable. These come out on January 21st. So we have The Wild Trials by Mackenzie Reed. I want to read her book that came out last year too, because it also sounds super great. This is a new young adult mystery. Chloe will do whatever it takes to win her elite boarding school's annual competition, The Wild Trials. In the 2 weeks leading up to the graduation from Wild Academy, a dozen seniors are chosen to compete in a series of 7 ultimate physical and mental tests. The winner will take home over $500,000, money that Chloe needs to help her sixth sister. Again, another one with a game. I think her last one is The Rosewood Hunt, which also has kind of a game. Sounds like this would be a good one to read for Hike-a-thon, my nature and like fitness themed readathon, so keep this one in mind. All right, next we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. You guys, okay, so I read Fourth Wing for the first time last year. I have not read Iron Flame, heard mixed reviews. I liked Fourth Wing, but it was like a 4-star for me. It wasn't a full 5. I wasn't as fully obsessed as I wanted to be. It is one that I feel like could grow on me. I really need to reread it before I read this one, but debating on trying to reread Fourth Wing, read Iron Flame, and then get to this one so I can be a part of the hype, because being a part of the hype is so fun. However, I just don't know if I can do it because they're so freaking long. So this is part of Fourth Wing. It's Dragon School. It's like the most popular book in the world right now. So check it out if you haven't already. I did really enjoy the first book. Everybody I know is obsessed with it, like completely obsessed. So I'm loving that for the bookish community. It's just so fun. So third one is coming out on the 21st. Lastly for January is the 28th, On the Wings of La Noche by Vanessa L. Torres. Noche is Lechuza by night, an ethereal jet black owl who guides the dead to the afterlife. Except now, Noche cannot bring herself to escort her dead girlfriend whose soul is fading harder Noche holds on. An aching romance about first and second loves and finding the strength to let go. More of like an emotional fantasy read, but it sounds very, very cool. Lastly for January, we have The Secrets of Underhill. This is the only middle grade I think I have on here, by Callie Wallace. An 11-year-old arborist apprentice fights to save an ancient grove of magical trees that hold the key to her community's survival. I love anything to do with like plants and nature, so this one sounds fabulous. All right, moving on to February. All right, next up is February 4th, The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This is a young adult romantasy. The Cruel Prince meets The Selection. In this captivating duology, every citizen in England is granted one bargain from the immortal Fae Queen. High society girls are expected to bargain for qualities that will win them suitors. A rare talent for piano in exchange for one's happiest childhood memory. A perfect smile for one's ability to taste. So, sounds super cool. I love books to do with like fae and fae bargains. Next up is February 11th. We have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. This is currently my favorite series that is not completed. This is an adult, cozy fantasy romance that I have been talking about nonstop. So the first book is Emily Wilde Encyclopedia for Fairies. We're following Emily, and she is this kind of snarky, grumbly professor that is writing this encyclopedia for fairies. There are different types of fairies, and she goes to this small town to study them, and she's not really liked by the townspeople because she's not overly warm and friendly, and her colleague that she's in competition with kind of shows up unexpectedly, and she's very annoyed that he is there, and he is adorable and wonderful. And there is a little romance in here, but there's a lot to do with the fae. You get little stories about different types of fae and characters. One of my favorite like romances ever, but it is not steamy at all. It's just like a cute, cozy, and well-written story, and the second one is also wonderful, so I'm so excited to get this third book. I'm going to try to reread both of the first two in order to get to this one ASAP. Next, we have Sanctum of the Soul by Kel Cade. This is the third book in Shroud of Prophecy series. This is a high fantasy series that I have become obsessed with. I think we've been waiting for this book for like 2 or 3 years. The first book in this series is Fate of the Fallen, and it is so awesome because it starts out with like this hero's journey, the typical kind of like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter style, and then things get flipped on their head and wind up being almost the opposite of what you think. It is humorous, it is funny. There are ogres and elves and all kinds of creatures in here. It is such a good adult fantasy series. I love the audiobook in particular because it was just so humorous. I just found it so unique, and the second book had a major cliffhanger. So again, hoping to reread these two to get to the next one. We have You Are Fatally Invited. This is an exclusive thriller writer's retreat hosted on a private island turns lethal when one of the authors is found murdered in this twisty locked room mystery. Adult thriller murder mystery. I wish this one was out in time for the first round of Randomathon, but I'll probably get to it in the summertime since it's set on an island. Sounds really cool. Next up is February 18th, and we have Upon a Starlit Tide by Kel Woods. I'm actually currently reading After the Forest and really enjoying it. This one I am so excited about because it is a fairy tale inspired by historical fantasy combining elements of The Little Mermaid and Cinderella. You know, I love mermaid books so much. Her writing is so beautiful, and this is going to be like an adult fairy tale, so I'm definitely going to read this one for Mermaid Marathon. It sounds so good, and I love the cover. Okay, next up, February 25th. I love this cover so much. So we have The Wildest Things by Andrea Hanna. This is a sapphic Snow White retelling. If Snow is to save her kingdom from being ravaged by the blight, she'll have to kill the evil queen's daughter if she doesn't fall in love with her first. Looks so beautiful, and I love retellings so much. We have City of Magic and Monsters. This is the third in the City of Villains series, which I started last year for Retoldathon. This is a Disney series where it is a different take on the villains from Disney. And in the first book, they are in like a Chicago style city, and they're working in like an office, and it's kind of like the origin story for the villains when they're younger, but in a new take. So this third book continues the series. So it looks super cute. Then we have Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. Beneath the still surface of a lake lurks a monster with needle-sharp teeth, hungry and ready to pounce. Ginny Greenteeth has never spoken to a human before, but when a witch is thrown into her lake, something makes Ginny decide that she is worth saving. I think we're following it from the monster's perspective. I love this cover, and it just sounds so original. These come out on February 27th. So we have Shadow and Tide by Rachel Greenlaw. This is the second in the Compass and Blade duology. I read Compass and Blade for Mermaid Marathon last year. It is a fantasy that has treasure hunting and nautical vibes and pirates, and I really enjoyed it. It was very different than what I expected, way more captivating, and the ending was really intense, so I'm very excited to read this second one. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about March. I'm going to put The Rag Picker King by Cassandra Clare on here. I have not read the first book in the Chronicles of Castellane yet, but I'm a big Cassandra Clare fan. This is her new adult fantasy series, and I honestly don't really know what it's about, and I kind of want to go in blind, but this is the second book, and it comes out on March 4th. A Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed. By encouraging massive accumulations of debt from its underclass, a single corporation, Ceres, controls all aspects of society. Encia lives with her brother in a half-sunken town where they scrape by running a taxidermy shop. Unbeknownst to Encia, their cruel and indolent mother has accrued an enormous debt, enough to qualify one of her children for Ceres's live-streamed assassination spectacle, The Lamb's Gauntlet. So this sounds like it's going to have kind of like Hunger Games vibes, but maybe in a little bit more of a modern way. I like dystopians every now and then to kind of mix up vibes, and I like Ava Reed, and I think this cover is amazing. Next, we have The Thorns by Dawn Katurgic. This is another one like Alice Feeney where I don't really have a love-hate relationship, but I get a little nervous. Dawn Katurgic is a horror writer. So far, I have only read 2 of her YA horror thrillers. This one is adult. She is the opposite of what I normally like. She gets incredibly dark, scary, and kind of disturbing, but something about the way that she does it makes me want to continue reading her books because they're just so well written that I can kind of like handle them better. So I just always want to check out things from her. So this is about an author who reconnects with an old boarding school friend, forcing her to reckon with their shared past and the imaginary creatures she thought she left behind. She has a good, like, unreliable narrator plot sometimes, and yeah, her books are just really captivating. The Divining Leaves by Sveta Thakar, who I think wrote Star Daughter that I really enjoyed. The cover is beautiful for this one. It's about a contemporary fantasy, 2 teens, one a believer of magic who yearns to belong and the other a skeptic longing for an escape. They find themselves embroiled together in a twisty world of court intrigue when they venture into the forest ruled by yakshas, woodland spirits drawn from Hindu and Buddhist folklore. Next we have The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami. This is an adult science fiction novel. It's about a woman's fight for survival and freedom in a near future where dreams are under surveillance. Basically, there's this dream association and they pull Sarah aside and tell her that she is under assessment because they believe that she is soon to commit a crime based on her dreams and like future predicting. So Sounds very cool. Okay, these come out on March 11th. Wakes the Bells by L. Tesh. Built by long gone saints, the city of Lon lives and breathes and bleeds. A keeper, Mina knows better than most what her care of Vaughn's bells mean for the sentient city. It's the Strauss family's 1,000-year legacy preventing the Vespers from ringing, or they will awake a slumbering evil. Sounds so cool. Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. So this is another prequel for the Hunger Games. It's making me want to reread everything. This one's going to be following Hamish's Hunger Games, who we love Hamish. So it's going to be his backstory. This one should be slightly easier to read than Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I really liked, but it was just really hard to be in Snow's head. I'm really excited that we're getting this. I wasn't aware that it was coming, so hopefully it's fabulous. And this one is coming out March 18th. So we have The Deathly Grimm, which is the second in the Forrest Grimm duology by Catherine Purdy. This is a YA fantasy. I read the first one for Retold-a-thon last year and I absolutely loved it. Made my honorable mentions for my top 10, which I will link down below from last year. This one has a blend of a bunch of different fairy tales that this young girl discovers on her journey through the woods to find this magical book to help save the town that has been under duress since some dark magic happened. And it is just so good. It ties in a bunch of fairy tales. It has a lot to do with the forest. There's a little YA romance in here and I just loved it. So I'm really excited for this next one. All right, you guys. So those are all of the new releases that I'm really excited for coming up soon and ones I just thought you would be interested in. I may have missed some popular ones. I may have missed some others. I did my best finding the ones that I thought that I was the most excited for. Let me know which ones you think you're most excited for to read. I do want to try to get to quite a few of these this year if I can. I'm even more excited for things coming out in the next quarter of 2025. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Bright Side Girl if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time on The Bright Side.